What's up, guys? My name is Elias, and Marvel Studios' The Fantastic Four First Steps is officially in theaters to kick off Phase 6 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I thought it'd be fun to rank every team's supervillains from the absolute worst to the absolute best. And full disclosure, there may be some spoilers ahead, but without further ado, let's get it. Coming in at number 10 is Mole Man's Monster. Now, I wasn't sure if this was supposed to be a version of Fin Fang Foom or just a creature created by the villain turned ally Mole Man in First Steps, but we'll call him Mole Man's monster for all intents and purposes. It doesn't appear in the movie for more than 5 seconds, which is technically why it's at the bottom, but the design at least looked cool and just further conveyed that fantasy world that this new version of the Fantastic Four lives in. At number 9, we got the Jeweler. Now, I don't know if it was like a rights issue or not, but this dude was clearly supposed to be the Mole Man, right? He and Trigger ended up as the obscure villain Jeweler in 1994's The Fantastic Four, whose entire purpose in the movie was to kidnap Alicia Masters so he could marry her. Weird, weird. Out of the vast array of villains I'm assuming they could have went with to be an antagonist in a Fantastic Four movie, the filmmakers instead vied to entirely make up one and give him an odd subplot. Thankfully, we haven't seen the likes of him since, so good riddance. Ah, the infamous fart cloud that is Galactus from 2007's Rise of the Silver Surfer. Now, I don't mind Galactus being this looming threat in the background that we only catch glimpses of here and there, but at least show him in his full glory when he does appear. Instead, by the time Silver Surfer flies up into the cloud to finally destroy the planet eating entity, we only see a fiery outline of the character's helmet. When you're only mentioned in the movie a handful of times, your first real appearance should make an impact. A good one at that. At number 7, I got Mole Man, which is played by Paul Walter Hauser, a guy who's literally everywhere nowadays. So casting him as the underground recluse Mole Man was pretty spot on. I like that he plays kind of like over the top and corny. Like the dude knows he's in a comic book movie, but he isn't exactly like a full on villain in this movie as he turns into an ally near the end. So, but still, I hope we get to see him more in the future. He was pretty cool. Man, I feel so bad for Toby Kebbell because while 2015's Fan Four Stick was a complete and utter disaster, I felt like Kebbell was the only one besides Reg E. Cathy who wasn't phoning it in. Making him more of a misunderstood genius than a sociopathic narcissist, Kebbell drew the short stick when it came to Doctor Doom portrayals, as he reappears way later in the movie as a walking green and silver crash test dummy. I will say though, he does get the coolest scene in the movie when he walks through the facility's hallways, exploding people's brains with a single thought. Maybe the only highlight in the entire film, no matter how cliche his motives were in wanting to destroy Earth via a blue skybeam. Surprisingly, rounding out my top 5 is Doctor Doom from the 1994 Fantastic Four movie. Honestly, this is just a pretty comic accurate Doom, at least costume wise. Joseph Culp, whose lines weren't dubbed with ADR, so it literally sounds like his words are being muffled all the time via his helmet, loved the character so much that he was heartbroken with how the movie turned out and subsequently was never released. His corny yet menacing demeanor made for an interesting live action comic book villain as he chews up all of the scenery every time he's on screen, displaying his malice toward Reed Richards with a sincerity that makes you wonder why this guy didn't get any other chances at playing a comic book villain somewhere down the line in his career, at least after the documentary on the behind the scenes drama for 1994's The Fantastic Four was released. At number 4, I got 2007's Silver Surfer. Norrin Rad, who was physically portrayed by Doug Jones, became the herald of Galactus to spare his people and the love of his life. Though we never get to dive deep into his origins, with Lawrence Fishburne as Silver Surfer's voice, his presence on screen is unmatched as he talks sternly and prominently, dominating the dialogue with a sense of purpose and wasting no words. I wish we could have seen more from the character in the movie itself, and I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bitter that we never got to see him return in a spin off or a third Fantastic Four movie. Question though, why didn't he just kill Galactus way earlier in his career if he could supposedly survive afterward? Um, Dude could have saved trillions of lives, dozens of worlds. Just saying. Food for thought. In the top 3, I got Silver Surfer from First Steps. Ozark Allen Jennifer Garner plays Shala Ball, an alien from the planet Zenla who sacrificed her free will to be Galactus' herald and destroy a bunch of planets. In First Steps, you really get to connect with her a bit more than the Norrin Rad character from 2007, as we get a glimpse into her guilt and regrets over the life changing choice she made to spare her planet. The special effects that brought this character to life are immaculate, and the visuals where she uses her powers are amazing. Though her assistance in the final battle means we may have seen the end of her character, I do hope we get to see her return in some capacity, even if only briefly, unless we do end up getting the traditional Norrin Brad version of the character sooner than later. Finally, after nearly 20 years of Galactus being seen in the public eye as a fart cloud, the MCU saw fit to give us a true blue version of the planet devouring Celestial. The sheer size and scale of the character, especially on an IMAX screen, creates some of the most mind boggling visuals I've ever seen in a comic book movie. And while there's really no sympathizing with him, the context of him being an entity billions of years old who was dealt the crappy hand of having to survive by eating trillions of lives at a time makes him almost a tragic character than just an outright villain. Nevertheless, his plan involving Baby Franklin means this dude has got to go, but I doubt we've seen the end of him completely. But at number one, I just couldn't help myself. I got the late great Julian McMahon's Doctor Doom. Look, the dude understood the assignment and sure as heck did his thing when it came to portraying the narcissistic, power hungry sociopath that is comic accurate Victor Von Doom. Homeboy was having the time of his life, hamming it up with some delightfully corny dialogue and motivations, chewing up the scenery along the way. He's so unashamedly evil that he came back in the sequel and infiltrated the government just to steal a whole cosmic being's abilities and kill the Fantastic Four without caring for any of the consequences. My dude gave no F's, and it's weird to see how refreshing that is in today's climate of comic book movies where every villain has to be some complex individual you can sympathize with. Sometimes it's better to just let the bad guys be bad guys. There you have it, folks. My official ranking of every Fantastic Four villain. Please leave a comment letting me know how you would rank each of the villains. Also, how excited are you to watch First Steps if you haven't seen it? If not, go and watch it because it's awesome. Jump on over to my spoiler free review to check out my thoughts on the movie. I'm working on my spoiler review as we speak. And I would just like to talk shop with you guys. And also, if you like this video, consider hitting that like button and sharing this video to anyone so that way they can join in on the conversation too. Until next time, guys, take care and God bless.